The alien queen of the Kerith Dominion had spent many cycles boasting that humans were fragile wanderers who relied on luck rather than skill. She mocked their ships. She mocked their tactics. She mocked their courage. To her, humans were a passing irritation, drifting through contested sectors with more curiosity than caution. She saw their presence as an insult to her throne. Her commanders agreed with every word she declared, for none dared challenge her view. The queen had fought dozens of foes across her reign, but she had never met a human in true battle. Her beliefs remained untested. She felt certain they always would. Human diplomats had tried for years to avoid conflict. They sought peaceful routes between stars, trading as they went. But the Kerith Dominion had pushed deeper into human sectors. Patrolling groups clashed. Skirmishes became frequent. Tension rose until it reached the point where one spark would ignite a war. The queen wanted that spark. She wanted to prove the weakness of the species she mocked. On a distant moon coated in metallic dust, one such confrontation finally occurred. A human outpost had been established on the surface to monitor nearby routes. Only a handful of personnel lived there. Among them was a lone warrior named Dane. He worked maintenance, but he had trained in self-defense during his years in the fleet. His squad had been recalled days earlier, leaving him alone to finish repairs on a communication relay. He thought the silence meant peace had finally come. He was wrong. Without warning, Kerith landing craft descended through the thin sky. They blasted the outpost towers and forced Dane into shelter. He slipped through smoke-filled corridors and collected gear left behind by the departing personnel. He grabbed a light armor rig. He grabbed a simple shield unit. He grabbed a compact rifle. Then he stood in the quiet hall and listened to the sound of metal claws scraping along the outer walls. He feared the worst but refused to run. The queen herself stood among her warriors as they marched across the moon. She desired to witness the humiliation of human forces. She believed the soldiers inside the outpost would beg for mercy. She believed the outpost commander would surrender without a single shot. Yet when her troops broke through the hall, they found no commander. They found no squad. They found only one human waiting in the shadows. Dane struck first. He moved like someone who had spent years studying the limits of his body. He dodged the first soldier and stunned another with a shield pulse. He slid behind support beams and fired short controlled bursts that forced the invaders to fall back. He made no shouts. He made no arrogant claims. He fought with a level steadiness the queen had not expected. Her soldiers reported the unusual resistance, but she laughed and ordered them to continue. She approached the breach point herself. Her tall armored form cast a long shadow along the cracked floor. Kerith armor was layered with dark crystal plates and lined with woven tendons that flexed like living muscle. She carried a spear that crackled with contained storm energy. When she stepped into the outpost, she expected the human to tremble. Instead, Dane stepped into view and pointed his rifle at her without a hint of fear. The queen felt insulted. She demanded that the lone human kneel before her. Dane said nothing. His silence angered her more than any insult would have. She launched forward with a sweep of her spear. Dane rolled aside. The blast struck the wall and sent debris flying. He braced his shield and charged with determined force. The queen blocked the shield strike easily, but the momentum surprised her. She had not expected a single human to challenge her directly. She had assumed they would flee at the first sight of her power. Her soldiers watched silently as she clashed with the human. They expected the fight to end within moments. Instead, they saw the queen adjust her stance. They saw her redirect her aim. They saw Dane slip under her reach, land a strike on her arm, and retreat before she could counter. They saw their queen grow irritated. She roared at her guards to stand back. She wanted the battle to be hers alone. Dane remained silent as he paced in a slow arc, searching for the next opening. The queen lunged again. Dane deflected the attack with a combination of shield tilt and sidestep. Her spear slammed into a steel column, creating a shower of sparks. He moved in close and struck her chest plate with a concentrated blast from his rifle. The plate cracked. The queen's eyes widened in disbelief. She had mocked human weapons for years. She had dismissed their engineering as crude. Yet this human had applied precision and timing that disrupted her usual confidence. She swung her spear in a swift arc. Dane ducked beneath it and pressed forward. He slammed his shoulder into her midsection. Her heavy armor absorbed most of the impact, but she staggered. She stumbled backward until her claws scraped across the floor. The outpost trembled as the fight dragged on. Dane breathed heavily. Sweat ran down his forehead. His armor rig hummed as its power cells strained to keep the shield stable. The queen moved with anger born from wounded pride. Her attacks intensified. Each strike became more forceful than the last. Dane held firm. He met her power with every ounce of strength he had. He blocked. He rolled. He advanced. He retreated. He refused to fall. The queen paused at last. Her chest heaved. Her pride demanded she continue, but something deeper within her hesitated. She had underestimated the human before her. She realized she had never truly respected the species she mocked. Yet here he stood, battered but unbroken. She raised her spear again, but this time she did not swing. She instead pointed it to the floor. Dane held his rifle steady. He waited. He watched her movements with unblinking attention. She studied him in return. For the first time she saw not a fragile wanderer, but a warrior who carried determination beyond fear. She took a step forward and told him he fought with a spirit she had not expected. Her voice held no mockery now. It held something closer to reluctant admiration. But the battle around them had not ended. Her soldiers waited for the order to advance. Human defense forces were approaching from orbit. Dane knew reinforcements would reach the moon within minutes. The queen knew the same. She realized that if she continued the fight, she would be met with a fleet she had no interest in confronting. She could not admit weakness. She could not declare surrender. She searched for a path that allowed her to leave with dignity. Her eyes drifted to Dane. She told him that he fought with honor. She said that the moon held no strategic value worth spilling more blood. She offered a temporary withdrawal, claiming she would return with a challenge more fitting for his skill. Dane lowered his rifle slowly. He said nothing. He simply stepped aside and allowed her to pass. The queen felt both frustration and respect as she walked by him. She had expected fear. She had found resolve. Her soldiers followed her out of the outpost. As their landing craft lifted into the sky, the queen remained silent. She stared through the viewport, replaying the fight in her mind. She had always believed humans to be inferior. She had always believed her throne stood above all. Yet the lone human had forced her to consider that strength came not from size or reputation, but from will. Her commanders asked if she wished to return with reinforcements. She refused. She said she had learned what she needed. They did not question her further. None of them had seen her armor's cracked plate. None of them had felt the weight of the human's determination. She alone carried the memory of the encounter. It unsettled her more than any battle she had fought before. Dane remained in the outpost until the human fleet arrived. Rescue teams found him standing among fallen debris, breathing steadily despite his exhaustion. They asked what had happened. He simply said the invaders had left. The commanders praised his resilience. They congratulated him for holding the line. But he made no boast. He carried no pride in the victory. He knew the Queen had chosen to leave, but he also knew she had not won. Across the sector, messages spread of the confrontation. Tailies grew, but Dane never corrected them. He returned to his duties once repairs were complete. He continued training. He continued preparing. He knew the Queen would return. He knew the battle had left both of them with unfinished resolve. On her flagship, the Queen trained harder than she had in years. She tested new weapons. She refined her armor. She reviewed footage from the Outpost over and over. Her pride would not allow her to forget the challenge she faced. But something deeper drove her now. She sought not only to defeat the human, but to understand him. For the first time in her reign, she did not look down on an opponent. She looked across at one. Time passed. The borders remained tense. Fleets drifted across mapped routes with engines humming quietly. Both sides waited for the spark that would ignite the next chapter. Both sides spoke cautiously. Neither sought open war. The Queen commanded her forces with sharper focus. She demanded precision and restraint. Her advisers noticed her shift in tone, but did not question it. One night she stood alone on the observation deck. Stars shimmered against the dark sea of space. She remembered the moment Dane stood against her without fear. She realized that her mockery of humans had been born from arrogance. Now she wished to test herself against the one who had shown her the truth. She wished to face him once more, not with disdain, but with respect. Dane continued his quiet routines on a distant station. He monitored traffic. He repaired hull damage. He trained in the gym.